Hello and welcome to the Judo Way of Life. My name's David. I hope you're well, I hope you're training hard, and I hope you're throwing hard. Today we're up to part 3 of my little honest review series, which means we are up to the awesome Ashi Waza. Yeah, that's it. It's called awesome Ashi Waza because that's exactly what it is. If you've watched part 1 that I did in this series, which was the review of my coaching program at Okuri Ashi Harai Fancy Feet, I went through then how basically initially I wanted to do a full Ashi Waza program, and then rambled on and on and on about Okuri Ashi Harai, so created that own individual product. Then if you watch chapter 2, if you were that interested, and I went through how I decided to go into Kouchi Waza instead, just to break up the Ashi Waza. I don't want your feet being too fancy too quick, and then brought it back around to what the original program was supposed to be, which was the Ashi Waza focus. So it was going to be Okuri Ashi Harai, Osoto Gari, Kouchi Gari and Ouchi Gari. So split off. Now I could have done an Osoto Gari system, easily could have done a Kouchi Gari system, and so forth. But I tried to minimize the amount of rambling I did, and I've saved it for these review videos instead. Hey! So let's get into it. So what you're going to get with this program is a bit of a deep dive into the competition variations of Osoto Gari, Ouchi Gari and Kouchi Gari that I like to do. There are a little bit of offshoots as well within that. So with the Osoto Gari, for example, with one of the gripping strategies that I use to set up for the Osoto Gari, I link that into a drop seoi-nage. So I'll go through drop seoi-nage for you as well. What else do we do? Yeah, so there's different angles. We start off with just basic setup and uchikomi. We go into dominating with the top grip. I'm a big fan of using the top grip and dominating my opponent with that to set up for the Osoto Gari, and using my shoulder to be able to control the head and things. So I'll go through that with you. Setting up with Sasai Surikomiyashi, so go through some combination work, setting up Osoto Gari, and then as the aforementioned drop seoi-nage off the Osoto Gari setup, as well as a bit of a lead in there. What else we got? Taking on an angle. Okay, we got looking at doing this from a Surikomiyashi feint, and then going into the Osoto Gari. Watch out for the counters, same side gripping, and then following up with the Osoto Gari. Yeah, so a few combinations in there, a few different gripping strategies, a few different setups. Osoto Gari is probably, I'm going to say that is my favourite throw, because I think in terms of success over my entire judo competitive career, the limited success that I did have, a lot of it was attributed to Osoto Gari. And then I'm probably going to put the Ogoshi feint into Taniatoshi in there. That one's definitely won me a few major medals and competitions over the years as well. But yeah, Osoto Gari is probably one of the first throws I learned. It's one that stuck with me. It's been by my side for a long time now. So there you go. We're going to go through some of that with you. Alright, part 2, we're going to go over Ouchi Gari. Now, Ouchi Gari was a really big part of my judo throwing arsenal as well for a long time, especially when I was 81 kilos. And I think it was because I was fighting shorter players. I'm 6'2", 188 centimeters for those in the metric world, and I was fighting players a lot shorter than me, a lot stockier, and Ouchi Gari seemed to work really well. So I'll go through some. So we've got the direct attack and set up from uchikomi, gripping and the bear hug, so a little bit of variations there. Ouchi Gari double attack, and then using the Ouchi Gari into Osoto Gari, so bringing it back around. You see, like, just, you know, playing in both camps there. And then the direct attack. So I'm a big fan of the direct attack. I really wish I could do the circular attack where you bring your opponent around and you catch them as they're stepping. So not quite a traditional Ouchi Gari, as the weight isn't in the leg you're attacking. With that version, it's more of a sweeping action than a reaping action, but still obviously a beautiful Ouchi Gari. I don't know, a bit of a like Neanderthal, just charging, bear hugging and slamming to the floor kind of guy. In part 3, I go over Kouchi Gari. Apologies, I'm just reading this from the website here. It was a while ago that I filmed this, so I'm just having to catch myself up. Alright, so we got the Kouchi Gari, and again, just touching on the Kouchi Gari was a throw. I would practice ad nauseum, and I just couldn't get it. I was kicking people in the ankles for years. One person in particular, John Goodwin, who I used to train with in Bagel Judo Club, he was absolute master at Ashi Waza. He's where I learned a lot of my Ashi Waza from. We was training with him. He was a few years older than me, so we would train a lot so in the early mornings before he went to work and things. And he helped guide me and taught me a lot of the dark arts of Ashi Waza. And Kouchi was one of his favourite throws, and he passed on a lot of the information, and he despaired at my inability to do it. And thankfully, as I put weight on and went from 81s to 90s, then up to 100s, I started actually having a lot more success with Kouchi Gari and a lot less success with Ouchi Gari. Now that might be just because of the time spent focused on doing the uchikomi, or there might be something in there in terms of body size and that kind of thing, but I don't know. But either way, Kouchi Gari started to become more dominant attack for me, and I would do it more with drawing my opponent on, so less of the direct attack with the Kouchi. Definitely still some, and I go through that a little bit, but then the way I'm looking at it is where drawing them, getting them to step forward and catching that foot that's going forward. So again, actually a bit more of a sweeping action than a reaping action, but Kouchi Gari nonetheless. And again, bringing it back around to Osoto Gari, very sneaky on me there, just keep slipping that one in. So you're going to get a lot of Osoto Gari. Quite a bit of Ouchi Gari, and then a good amount of Kouchi Gari as well. So yeah, there you go. If that sounds like something that tickles your fancy, you're on. In terms of the shortcomings of this, so if you watch the other two reviews, I went on about how absolutely rubbish and terrible and just laughable some of the editing is, well, basically non-existent, some in the first one for sure. And by the time I got around to doing this one, had the other two on my belt, realised the error of my ways and edited it more diligently. So the product, I would say, is a lot cleaner. The thing I would say that I didn't do enough of in this one is enough throwing demonstrations. That was a foresight on my part. There's definitely enough in there, but having done more content since then, I've really found my rhythm, I think, in terms of how I include throws and edit the throws with the slow motion and the different angles, and being a bit more creative with that, and that's just come with time. And unfortunately, that came after I edited this product. So, still, again, very biased. I'm very biased about my own products, which is fair enough, I think. I'm sure you'd be biased about your own endeavours, so as you should be. So here we are. I think the content's great, and there's definitely enough throws in there to be helping you along, but I would just wish I'd done a few more throws, and some nice fancy angles, bit of slow motion and a bit of that kind of cinema magic. And yeah, there you are. So I really hope these reviews have been helpful. I hope they've given you some insight into what the product, what the coaching program will teach you. Obviously, you've got to go about this. So when we go buy the product, I'm sorry to break this information to you, but you are going to have to take the information and go and practice it, and practice it, and practice it, and then practice it some more. And I mean, that's just the non-sexy part about all this. And unfortunately, there's really no other way of getting better. And anyone that's done judo for more than half an hour will know that is not the easiest sport to learn, and it's a pain, and it is infuriating, and yeah, I'm being supposed is one of the reasons why I love it, and hopefully that's why you love it. But here we are, you got to practice. If you don't practice, you're not going to get better. So if you've watched the video, if you bought the coaching program, you've gone through it, I really hope you're practicing. If you want me to go through any of it, feel free to send me your videos. You can find me on Instagram at The Judo Way of Life, and also on Facebook just at Judo Way of Life. What else we got? You can email me, info at The Judo Way of Life, whatever's easiest for you guys, whatever's easiest for you. And I'm happy to go through the review and to send you some notes on what I think you are doing well and what you maybe need to improve, and that's fine. So you need to practice. If you haven't bought this program and you are thinking about it, again, I hope this has just given you a bit of insight, and either of my other two, the Okuri Ashi Harai Fancy Feet, Okuri Ashi Harai System Fancy Feet, and it's all in the hips, effective judo hip tosses. I've got both those reviews which you can go and check out, and in a couple of days I'll release, so fancy, I will upload, a bit more like it, I'll upload the, I don't know yet, it'll be a surprise. I'll upload a video from also Ashi Waza going through one of the techniques, which I've also done for the other 2 programs that I did. So you go and check those out, they're all on the YouTube channel. So yeah, I mean, that's enough rambling for me again for one day, I think. If you have watched all 3, mad props, very impressed. And yeah, here we go. Train hard, throw hard. Hope your judo's going well. If you have any questions, just stick them in the comments below. I'm happy to help. And yeah, job's a good one. Alright, that's enough for me. Ta-da!